Hello and welcome everybody. This will be the 5th episode of Merlini's Mailbag. And I have an intro prepared, but I haven't actually imported it to YouTube yet. That should be ready for next week's episode. And I'm still working on the logo, but again, expect more production value very shortly. So the first question that I received was about Tranquil Boots. And here's the question. Here's my main question. How do you feel about the current state of Tranquil Boots? Tranquils were added in 6.73 and seem to be ideal for poor support heroes. They're very cheap, provide a heal, and give a significant movement speed increase. However, lately they have become very popular among agility carry heroes like Luna, Phantom Lancer, and even Anti-Mage. They give a lot of staying power to heroes that would have trouble keeping up in difficult lanes of farming the jungle early game. Do you think that this is balanced? If not, how do you think they could be changed without making it much more difficult for heroes who depend on them, such as Axe? Thanks for reading. So when Tranquil Boots initially came out, which is a 6.73, I believe, which this guy said, I initially thought it was only for supports as well. It's like 450 plus a really cheap ring of regen, which you can buy from the side shop, so that's 800, and then on top of that 175 from a ring protection. It provides a lot for having no recipe cost, and usually when you get this much benefit from an item, you at least have a recipe cost. Even Soul Ring has a very small recipe cost for the benefit that it provides for the active, but Tranquil Boots notably does not have any recipe. So I'll go over the benefits of Tranquil Boots and what it actually provides for not even having a recipe. So Ring of Protection only gives 2 armor, and Ring of Regeneration gives 2 HP a second. But you'll notice as I hover over tooltip, it says 3 armor and 3 HP regeneration. So from spending nothing extra, you already get 1 armor and 1 free HP regeneration, which is not nothing. I mean, there could at least be a 125 Soul Ring recipe cost like Soul Ring. And you also get move speed. You get 25 move speed, which is nothing to scoff at. And there is the passive. If you take damage 4 times in 10 seconds, it becomes regular boots, and you don't get the move speed bonus, etc., etc. But it's still a very powerful item. And there's a reason why you don't see people get Vanguard anymore, because you simply just don't need it with Tranquil Boots. I did a little bit of the math before, and the active heal provides 175 HP over 40 seconds. Or 175 HP every 40 seconds, rather, not over 40 seconds. It happens over 10 seconds, but you can use the active ability every 40 seconds. And this equates to 255 HP over 60 seconds. And the passive heal, which is 3 HP a second, equates to 180 HP regen a minute. If you add both of those up for the total regen provided, you actually get 435 HP over 60 seconds, which is 7.25 HP regen per second. And this is only for 975 gold, and that's only just the HP heal. So why would anyone get a Ring of Health? There's no reason why you need a Ring of Health, because unless you want to build a Battle Fury for more farming. But for staying in lane, 5 HP regen a second is nothing compared to Tranquil Boots. Tranquil Boots gives 435 over a minute, and Ring of Health also only gives 300. And that's passive too. If you take damage from a nuke or whatever, whenever you're in lane getting harassed, then you can just pop your Tranquil Boots, and the Ring of Health doesn't really give you that flexibility, and that's only the cost efficiency part of it. And you can also disassemble it later, if you buy phase boots or you buy power treads, BOTs. You can't disassemble these at all. I don't actually know why you can't disassemble them, but it actually does make a difference that you can't disassemble them. Notice as I right click over all of them, it says show and shop or sell. But for Tranquil Boots, you can disassemble them, and that makes a big deal when you want to transition into Boots of Travel later, if it's a really late game, or if you're Phantom Lancer and you want to keep pushing out every lane. But it is a little bit ridiculous that they're really cheap, and you can disassemble them later for almost no gold loss. You can turn the Ring of Regeneration into a Force Staff later, a Mag, a Pipe if you want to. You can turn the Ring of Protection into a Vladimir's Offering, a Ring of Aquila if you're an agility carry, such as PL or Luna or Gyrocopter even for that extra mana in lane, and all these contribute to Tranquil Boots being gotten on a wide range of heroes, not just poor support heroes who can't afford any better. And I was talking about this with Clairvoyance quite a while ago, and he said that these green boots, he calls them green boots, which I do sometimes too. I think it's much easier to say than Tranquil Boots, but green boots should be nerfed because they're just way too popular, and they're just gotten on everybody. They're gotten on melee carries, range carries, they're gotten on supports, they're gotten for mid heroes, they're gotten for like utility heroes like Darkseer, and the amount of benefits that it provides is just way too cost effective, and not to mention you can disassemble them. So like a very common build for heroes that require a lot of mana, for example Phantom Lancer and Darkseer, you just go Soul Ring and Tranquil Boots, and there's like almost nothing they can do to like push you out of lane, which is a little bit absurd. And on top of that, like you don't need to spend money on consumables. Like notice like most AMs who save farm, they like rush Tranquils, and then after Tranquil Boots they can go for like the damage items with the Battle Fury. They don't even need the Perseverance to stay in lane because they have Tranquil Boots, and that combined with like a Stout Shield just like makes it nigh impossible to harass melee heroes out of lane. And that's why you see a lot of the popular melee farmers, like again, Phantom Lancer, Anti-Mage, because those are really popular and competitive, just get just get Tranquil Boots all the time. And I mean, I think it's a little bit broken. It's not like totally game breaking. I don't think that this is what Ice Frog like meant for when he like implemented Tranquil Boots, because melee already has a lot of like early game benefits that ranged heroes don't. They have like increased XP from denies, which is actually pretty big, and they have Stout Shield to help prevent harass. They have Quelling Blade to help farm creeps, and they already have like a fair amount of benefits. And this is like a relic from an old age when like you almost never saw melee heroes in lane because you would just get harassed to death, and there was nothing you could do about it. You just have to spend obnoxious amounts of money on regen, and you would just take such a huge hit from the laning phase, or the enemy would just get a huge advantage from the laning phase, that it was pretty much just unviable to pick melee heroes. And with like the recent changes, or not recent changes, but changes to like XP experience range nerf for melee heroes, as well as implementation of Tranquil Boots and Stout Shield and Vanguard and all those good items, we see melee heroes a lot now, which is good, and I don't mind that. But again, Tranquil Boots, too much flexibility, too cheap. You can disassemble it if you like regret your choice later, only for like if you sell your Ring of Protection you lose like 87 gold. That's like 2 creeps, which is nothing. And if you sell your Ring of Regen, again 175 gold. That's how much gold you lose, which is, I don't know, it's too strong. And this was discussed a few months ago, but there haven't been like huge significant buffs here and there lately, ever since like the Drow and Centaur patch. It's really just been like small balance and tweaks here and there. So I do expect them to be nerfed, just because they're just way too popular now. And I guess that's all I'll say on Tranquil Boots. So for the next one, hey Merlini, I was about to say Melrini because I actually used that on one of my Smurf accounts, and I saw some guy with the name The Real Melrini, and I just thought that was hilarious. So I tend to say Melrini when I mean Merlini a lot of the times. Anyways, hey Merlini, I had a question about a forgotten hero as of late, Broodmother. I personally have never seen her in competitive play or even played on any live stream. Is she underrated, and what do you think she needs to be picked? What do you think she needs to be picked more often? Best regards. So after watching the G League finals, and I think most of the Dota community watched it, but if you did not, the theme was a best of 5 series, and it actually went to 4 games, and the theme was pretty much Coddle PL. Coddle PL just won 2 games, although one of them they were close to losing. Like, the hero variety is not that great anymore, and the game has certainly shifted away from what it was before, which was like mostly two in top lane, 2 in mid lane, 2 in bottom lane, where like dual lanes would face off versus other dual lanes, and now it's shifted to like 3-1-1, and sometimes not even one. 3-1-0 with one in the jungle, and this has like a profound impact on the hero selection. And the problem with Brood is that firstly she got nerfed a lot, so like spawn spiderlings, the spiderlings don't provide 4. Notice it says count 1, 2, 3, 3. It used to provide 4 at level 7, but now it doesn't, or level 4 rather, but not anymore. And on top of that, they just provide obnoxious amounts of bounty and gold, and it's really easy to kill them. They have like such low HP. If you have like one decent nuke, you can just finish them off. Or if you're an awesome hero like Darkseer, you pretty much just can't even touch Darkseer with a melee hero with Broodmother, especially with Tranquil Boots. You can't out harass them anymore, and if you want to go mid like I do sometimes with Broodmother, you can't harass them down because they have Bottle Crow. Like any decent solo mid hero like Storm Spirit or Magnetar, they have the potential to Bottle Crow, and they have good AoE to deal with Broodmother spam. And even something like TA has pseudo AoE, and again the Bottle Crow spam just makes her mid pretty unviable, and she doesn't really have any chasing room with webs. The neutral camps are fairly far away to access, as opposed to like here, you can just send them one screen away to farm, and especially if you're on Dire for Broodmother, because she really does rely on the jungle farm for Broodmother to catch up in experience and levels, because she's easily zoned out. Like a hero such as like Furion or Syllabear, let's say, like what they do is they run all the way down here, and they like intercept the creep wave in between the T1 and the T2 tower. And this is very common with offlaners. You can also do it with Bounty Hunter, but it's a little bit more risky because you actually have to bring your hero there. But what they do, which the creep wave will spawn in 5 seconds and I'll show you, is that they just drag the creep wave from here to their tower, and they get a free wave and pretty much free level 2. And that's actually really, really important, especially for someone like Darkseer. Darkseer, he can get easily zoned out at level 1 because he doesn't really have any offensive potential, because he can't get Ion Shell if he's forced into a defensive position. So they pull the creep wave here and they just drag him all the way. You can do this with your Syllabear or with Furion Treants, but getting that level 2 is actually really, really important. But with Darkseer, if you have level 2, you can have double Ion Shell on creeps, which is extremely hard to counter, and you have Surge in case they do go on you. And not that many combinations of heroes have enough damage and enough stun to keep Darkseer from running away at level 1. And Broodmother, all he has at level 1 is invisibility, which is easily countered by sentries, and some increased move speed. Although it is passive and not active like Darkseer's, it's still very easy. Like you can just plop a sentry right in the middle of all this and just completely nullify his invisibility and move speed, because you can just zone him out from this area. And like what Broodmother does, almost any other hero does better. If you want a late game carry, you can use Syllabear, you can use Clinks, you can even use like Bounty Hunter, you can use Weaver, and most all of them have like better staying potential than them. Like I've seen Bounty Hunter just like sit right here in this area, and they just like leech experience when the creep wave's right here. And like usually the creeps won't see you like this because they'll just pop invis. But the problem with Broodmother is if you want to go invis here, they know where you are. There's like no secret, and the trees don't respawn for 5 minutes. So there's like the jig is up. You can't just stay in lane sneakily like a Bounty Hunter or even a Weaver for that matter. Also, like Broodmother is actually pretty good for push lineups and like creating space for your other heroes to farm. But the problem with that is, why wouldn't you just use Furion? Because Furion, also known as Nature's Prophet, can pull from here using the treants without putting himself in danger. You don't want to feed more. You don't want to feed any more golden experience to the safe lane carry than they already are. So then they already are going to get. So you really don't want to put yourself or expose yourself to any sort of danger. So like you can pull your treants over here. It's very hard to kill 2 treants. They have like 500 plus HP each. So combined 1000 HP. Level 1 heroes can't do 1000 damage that fast. So you just pull them all the way from over here, all the way to like around this area where you're really close to your tower, and then you can get experience and some farm that way. And Furion's ranged. But aside from that, he's way better at split pushing because he can be anywhere every 20 seconds. Also, he's way better at ganking too. He makes your other lane stronger because he has his ultimate at level 6, and because he can like TP behind the tower and just like summon treants to tank for you while you tower dive someone. Not to mention the right click power and the sprout. So like Furion does like the split push better, and he can gank. And he has better global presence with his ultimate as well. And Broodmother can't do any of that. Like, he has webs, but it's not like you can teleport from one web to another. There is a hero in Heroes of New Earth that can do that, which would actually make Brood really, really cool. But regardless, Broodmother can't do that. He has like pretty limited mobility, even though he has webs, especially if you need a lane switch, because Furions are like, okay, if this lane's like a sacrificial lane, he can just move on to the jungle, just do these small camps with his treants. But like Broodmother at level 1, like what are you going to do with just spin web? You're going to like take out huge camps with your +2 HP regen a second? I mean, that's not really possible. And you won't have webs in your lane anymore, so it'll be really obvious when you come back to lane. And she's just not really flexible anymore. And again, she also requires a BKB. You have to get a BKB on Broodmother in competitive. She can't do anything in teamfights without BKB, because even with BKB, she still gets owned, but without BKB, she just gets demolished. Like, she'll just take way too much AoE damage. She doesn't have that great HP gain. She doesn't have any like burst heal. She has to be attacking to lifesteal from Insatiable Hunger. Broodlings just don't do anything in a team fight because there's so much AoE going around. And for example, one hero, Magnetar can just absolutely crush Brood, and like you just can't do anything about it. If you're close to Magnetar, you'll just get RP'd, and if you're not close to him or you use Broodlings, you'll just get Shockwave down. And on top of that, there's Skewer to worry about and Empower Cleave, and it's just really difficult for Broodmother and a lot of melee heroes to do anything versus the powerhouse that is Magnetar, or even like Nyx. Let's say, like, what's a Broodmother going to do versus Nyx? Incapacitating Bite does not work against BKB units or Rage, and again, Spawn Spiderlings just don't do anything. They're all going to die to AoE, and Incapacitating Bite is not that good. I'm pretty sure like Feast would do more damage, like I think 7% of your HP, so 1000 is like 70 HP a second, or 70 HP a hit as opposed to 60 at level 1, and that's passive. That's up all the time. And I mean, granted they have to be at 1000 HP, but like he doesn't require like the use of his ultimate to do a lot of damage. He can just right click people, and he has like huge increased attack speed. Insatiable Hunger doesn't give you any attack speed, so like her like fighting potential is like greatly just pales in comparison to what someone like Nyx can do in a fight. She has to like be attacking someone to slow, and open wounds is like a range. It's like it gives you added benefits in addition to the slow. And again, like most other heroes can do what Brood does like a lot better. If you want like a somewhat of a like a disabler and tank in the middle of a fight that does like a lot of damage, you just use Nyx. If you want a split pusher, you can use Darkseer, who's a lot better at surviving and does a lot more damage and has a lot more teamfight potential. You can also use Furion. If you want like an invisible ganker and utility hero, you can use Bounty Hunter or Weaver, and both of those have like very, very good survivability, and they have like a lot easier time like coming back in team fights, because Urna Swarm is very, very useful, and Time Lapse is much better survivability than Web. And on top of that, you have Track for Bounty Hunter, which is way more useful than just having spin web for yourself. And again, the hero's skill set is just not that good in competitive games. This is okay for pubs because people just don't buy sentries and gem and dust all that often, but again, it's just very easy to zone out a Broodmother. It's very easy to counteract the pushing, and you feed massive amounts of bounty and experience. And the offlane role is just better fulfilled by almost any other common current offlaner right now. And until the game shifts away from 3-1-1, I don't think we'll see Broodmother for a long time, or she needs like some significant nerfs or some significant buffs. Sorry, not nerfs, to see her used in play. She actually used to be really, really popular, and she was used all the time, and you would actually ban the hero. I mean, banning Broodmother is somewhat of a ridiculous concept to like many of the spectators today, but she actually used to be like first ban material. It's like, oh my gosh, we can't play against Broodmother. And one of the tournaments that I played in like in ages ago, I think in 2009, we lost versus Broodmother, and like Broodmother was just considered way overpowered back then. Webs used to give like full vision in the area of the web instead of just like this tiny vision right here. And there's been just like a lot of other nerfs as well. You can check one of the many sites for changelogs, but until that happens, Broodmother is just like a crappy Weaver, a crappy Nyx, like a kind of just a crappy crappy mix of the two, I think. Not enough damage, not nerf survivability, not just no presence in team fights, and just a really weak hero overall. She'd probably be placed in my bottom top 10 heroes for like most needs for nerf, or bottom 10 heroes in terms of suckiness, whatever you want, however you want to phrase it. But thanks everybody for watching this week's mailbag. Again, I didn't get too many questions this week, so I had to deal with what I had in my mailbox, but I'm looking forward to having more questions. I don't think like none of the like tournaments have recently seen anything like exceptionally new. It's just been like more COD PL, more Shadow Demon, Nyx, and Bat Rider and Nyx. So I think I tend to get a lot more questions like, oh my gosh, there's like a Meepo coming around, or like, wow, Gyrocopter's been picked a lot. But I hope that there's a patch or some balance changes that come soon, so that I have some more interesting stuff to talk about. But thanks everybody for watching. I will put this on YouTube later. And again, my email is mailbag@merlinidota.com. And if you have any general questions, comments, or concerns, you can mail me at merlini@merlinidota.com. Thanks everybody for watching.